Welcome to the EKO Podcast, Expanding the Kingdom of Opportunity. We talk about everything that it takes to nurture you as a woman, as a wife, mother, and entrepreneur. I'm your host, Andria Lovitt, and I just love talking about these topics. It really warms my heart to really be able to just bring these topics forward so that we can reach women and allow them to get that deep work, the inner work that it takes to wear all those hats. I have today with me Wes King Miller. He is the founder of Group Economics. And I am bringing him in, even though he's not a woman, obviously, I'm bringing him in because I believe that we can learn from multiple different people about these topics, and also just bringing in the male perspective, because there's things that we need to hear as women that are best to come from a man. And also, Wes has an incredible story. So, Wes, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So can you share with me a little bit about Group Economics, what you're working on?
So Group Economics is a coalition of small businesses that I try to gather up, and basically we all come together and feed off of each other and thrive and function off of each other. You know, all businesses from all different walks and genres, so we can basically just rely on each other instead of relying on maybe government or something like that, So basically it's getting away from the system, kind of, building our own system and, separating yourself from the programming that's going on within, the school systems and things of that nature.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I like that. I like that a lot, especially because with the school system, I'm actually working on a project to really bring homeschool and micro schools more mainstream.
We need that.
I'm building a nonprofit, right? And one of the core reasons is that programming that you talked about.
Right.
So tell me more about that. Like, what, in your view, what is that programming that we want to get away from?
So, people don't realize that, there's a school to prison pipeline that they have set up, basically. So, we're taught to go to school, get a job, and retire. They don't tell you about ownership, entrepreneurship, things of that nature. And so, that's why you have a lot of people that don't like to go to school, might veer off and choose another route, and for me, it was the streets, because, the streets was, economically, it wasn't underneath the programming. It was a rebellion, but at the same time, it was a trap for me, because it got me in some trouble.
Right. And why do you think that is? Like, why do you think the school to prison pipeline specifically disproportionately affects Black and brown kids?
It's lack of education. They don't, some homes in different cultures, that come from money, they'll educate you in the home, and you'll know about things like life insurance and entrepreneurship and deeds and owning things, and they don't teach you that in school. So if you don't get it at home or school, you're not going to know, So you have the allure in the streets where you have the drug dealer and, people getting all this money. Where you don't have to go work and slave at a job, so it's easier to go do that, and also easier to get in trouble and get taken away. So, yeah, it's tricky. It's
right.
tricky. So if as long as you know what's going on, then you can navigate a little easier.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to boys in school, I think the system is kind of rigged. It's like it doesn't, like, guys learn in different ways, right? Especially coming from different cultural backgrounds. And so when it comes to standardized testing, when it comes to just the way school is set up to kind of like prepare you for prison in a way.
Right, it does.
You've got the bells ringing. You've got like, okay, you move here, you move there,
yes.
move to this block, you move to the next block, it's like.
Cafeteria.
Right. And so, and this is not to, with a broad stroke paint all school education as bad. That's not what I'm doing here. But what I am calling to attention is the fact that the school system oftentimes fails our boys, our young men. And I have a stat here. So you mentioned, like, once they get in the streets, they see the glory, everything they can achieve and get in the streets, because they're not getting, those good grades in school.
Right.
No one's listening to them, right? So they get in trouble. So it says, once in the juvenile justice system, students are 67% more likely to end up in jail again before they're 25.
Yeah, that was me.
That's a lot. Yeah.
That was me. Yeah, I was in and out of juvenile hall, and then eventually had to go to the big one, the pen. So, yeah, that was definitely a trap. And now that I'm past it, I'm looking back on it, I'm disappointed that I fell in the trap. But that's why I'm here now, to just try to help the youth, and so they can see that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can't see that, especially when you're so deep in it, and it's generational. A lot of us come from generational streetism, so it's like nobody told you anything, of any type of decent value, so. And I have a lot of young nephews and nieces that I try to help that have never might have gotten that advice at home, so I get, that the first time they might have heard it from me, so that's people like me. I just try to do that, just try to help the people that need help, basically, because you never know how people come up.
Right.
Some people automatically assume you're already supposed to know these things, but how are you supposed to know if you never heard it or, never saw it?
Right. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I know we were having a conversation about this. And one of the things you mentioned that I remember, you talked about how what you were engaging in the streets is like, it was business. Like you were, it wasn't legit business, but you were doing sales. Like you were doing,
I had employees.
Entrepreneurship.
I had employees, the whole nine. So, I just wasn't paying any taxes or anything like that. But yeah, it was definitely a learning experience,
Right.
So, and then now that I've got past that, I can use these skills and legitimately.
Right. And what I see that as, it's the entrepreneurial mindset, but it's not guided properly.
Right.
It's like there's a hunger that certain individuals have in the school system,
right?
And their needs are not being met. And then they see, okay, this is a pathway where I can get those needs met. I can be an entrepreneur, right? But they're not taught the right way, like you said, right? So what I want to draw attention to is, like, as mothers, right? Because I'm a mother to a young boy. He's not old enough yet to really be exposed to the streets and to even know what that means.
Right.
But I'm watchful because he is a boy of color, and so I want to make sure that he is given a foundation and that I can recognize those leadership qualities in him and nurture him in that instead of failing him.
Right.
And I don't say that in a judgmental way, but just like, that's just what happens.
Right. No, I know what you mean. Because a lot of times, as parents, people rely on the school system to raise them or all that. So when in reality, it needs to come from home. Right. It needs to come from home.
And one thing that I want to point out is that as an entrepreneur, there is a win, and then there's also a sacrifice.
Yes.
So
always.
The win as an entrepreneur is you get to control your time.
Oh, yeah.
You have time freedom, right? But the sacrifice is the hard work that it goes into and the personal development.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to kick your butt. Like, you're going to have to look in the mirror and be like, wow, this is what I really look like on the inside. Like, when you're confronted with all the different challenges that come up in business.
Right.
And so for me as a mother, I'm an entrepreneur, and that's super important to me to do that work that I've got to do on the inside.
For sure.
So that I can be a successful entrepreneur. Yeah. I'm making that sacrifice so that I can have that time freedom. With that time freedom, I want to focus that energy, that time on my son and giving him creative ways that he could spend his time instead of just, like you said, trusting him to the school system to raise him. Like, I can raise him. He can accompany me with, on my business meetings at some point.
Yeah.
Maybe not now.
He'll be ahead of time. He'll be ahead on that, So like I said, it has to be at the home. Like with the micro homeschooling thing you got, that's micro school. That's perfect. It's perfect what people need because everybody learns different, and you got a big old class of 30, 40 people and not everybody's learning the same, and so micro schooling is much needed. And plus, and as an entrepreneur, as a mom, it's needed as well for the mom to be home for the children and raise them, and because they're going to get all the knowledge from you, most of it, even if you have both parents, it's going to, you spend most of the time with the mom still,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think it's very important but it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody.
Right.
Yeah,
it's not for everybody.
It's not. But I think that, there's a phrase that's coming to mind, and it's many are called, few are chosen.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, it's like there's a great necessity for it.
Right.
But certain people are going to do what it takes.
Right. Yeah.
And that's not to say that it's already predetermined.
Mm-hmm.
You could choose and say, hey, I am going to do what it takes.
Right.
I'm going to do what it takes. Like whatever I have to work on inside,
mm-hmm.
whatever, blockages I've got to get over, whatever, prayers I have to pray to ask God to show me, hey, what is it?
Give me the strength.
Give me the strength. And what do I have to change? What is it that I need to go through? What is it that I need to experience so that I can be that?
Self-awareness.
Right.
Yeah.
That self-awareness is huge. So
it's definitely got to be in you. It's got to be in you, not on you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that kind of goes into my book a little bit. I'll talk about the book later, but the title of my ebook, which is free, it's for women, but the title is The Kingdom in You. Because, in the Bible, Jesus said that the kingdom is not over there, over here, it's among you, it's within you, right? And so that is what expanding the kingdom really means, and that's like our namesake, right?
Right.
We're expanding that in us. We're expanding opportunity in us. And that opportunity is the antithesis to all of the programming that's going on out there in the systems that are designed to use us. Use us for our labor, our prison labor.
For sure, yeah. Even if you don't go to prison, you might be in, a mental prison at your job or something, it's stressing you out, But, you got to do what you got to do to make a living.
Right. Right. So we're going to break free from that. So yes, like I said, there's a win in entrepreneurship, but there's also that sacrifice.
Huge sacrifice.
Yeah. You got to sacrifice your ego.
Right. Your time. Your weekends.
Yeah.
No more partying.
Yeah. You gotta really drill down and do that inner work. Cause it's like when you're partying and it's like, yeah, have fun. That's great. But like when you're in that mindset of like constantly seeking self-gratification,
right,
you cannot hear the inner movements. You can't hear spirit telling you, okay, you got to work on this. You know, it's like very difficult to hear that and make those changes.
Yeah. Especially when you're partying. That's out the window.
Right. So what I'm seeing, going back to what's going on in the school systems of programming and what you experienced, right? I'm seeing that these young boys they're rebelling against the programming.
Yes, that was me.
Yeah. They're rebelling against the programming, but they're also not given the proper channels.
Right.
So can you tell me a little bit more about your mindset going through that experience? Like when you were young, what precisely was it that you felt that you were rebelling against?
Well, for me, I feel like it was just natural because I felt that something wasn't right from the beginning. And then, the streets was just the only thing that attracted me to that, because the streets are already rebelling against the system, and, you can get financially secure over there. So, like you said, I didn't have the proper channels to channel that energy properly. Because, it was really just a lot of the street hustlers just have an entrepreneurial spirit, but that's all we know. We didn't know about starting our own lemonade stand or something, coming up as a youngster, or like now I run a clothing line in a print shop. And so I help a lot of my, my young lives create their own clothing line and show them how to get money that way, where you don't have to go and sell drugs or, break into houses and cars or whatever the case may be. So, yeah, just like you said, it's just providing the proper channels. Yeah. Because the school is not doing that. They're not showing. I don't think I ever remember them talking about entrepreneurship at all, or ownership in anything, So we're just doing the same math equations and, and adjusted history, and all that stuff. So, but I had to teach. It was self-taught, basically. Self-taught. So, and then now I try to pass this on to my daughter, my granddaughter, and, down the line, basically.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm seeing a theme here because when we talk about the systems, right? I want to shy away from like saying like systems is bad, right? Because I don't believe systems is a bad thing. Because if you have a business system that works, it's legit, right?
Right.
But it like having a system allows you to have repeatable success.
For sure.
It allows you to be duplicatable.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Needs systems.
Right. But the question is, what are you duplicating? So when it comes to the school to prison pipeline, it's a pipeline duplicating something, right? It's duplicating a mindset that it's based on survival.
Yeah.
And it's based on this energy that it's like I'm willing to harm other people to get by,
to survive, basically.
Just to survive. Yeah, it's missing.
Get ahead.
Right. It's missing integrity. Like it's lacking in integrity.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right.
For sure. Especially nowadays.
Yeah.
Ignorance is at a high level right now.
Yeah.
Super high.
And so this system is driving people toward, the prison, all of that, right?
Right.
But that's the thing. It's like it's doing the same thing. It's telling people I'm willing to hurt others to get ahead.
Right.
Because the system, they win. They
all
win
the
at
time.
something, right?
All the time.
Okay.
Yeah. The house wins.
Right. And so that's the mindset is duplicating.
Right.
You see that? It's just like it's
a cycle.
Yeah.
It's not just a pipeline, but once you get through the pipeline, now you're going to come back through it and cycle.
Right.
If you don't somehow remove yourself.
Right. And then on the other hand, we want to create our own systems. We want to create systems that duplicate something else.
Right. Prosperity.
Prosperity. Yes, absolutely.
Prosperity. Smarter, not harder.
Yeah. And helping other people and really giving our communities the knowledge and resources that we've been traditionally just underserved in.
That's just the key right there. The providing the people with the information and the resources.
Yeah.
Because that's the main thing that we don't have.
Right.
Unless you're in the proper zip code.
Right.
So, zip codes mean a lot too. People don't understand, certain schools and certain zip codes are treated a certain way, So just remember that, when you're looking for, people know, when it's time to go choose a school for your child, you know which one you want them to go to.
Right. Right. Because it's doing something different for them. It's creating in them a different system.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So if we don't want to be subjected to that, if we're not living in those zip codes, which by all means, let's get to those zip codes.
No, we need to get to those zip codes, and change the narrative for sure.
But if we're not, then we have to create our own systems that will promote those positive qualities, entrepreneurial mindsets that lead to success.
For sure.
Right. So can you tell me a little bit more about your story? Like tell me what you went through, which led you into, in
right, in general.
You don't have to go too far into detail.
Short,
you don't have to go too far into detail because I'm not going to pry, but I do want to know the parts that you want us to know about how you got to where you got. I don't mind. You can ask me
anything. This stuff is some of the stuff that I didn't get in trouble for now, but well, I grew up in a household. I had both my parents. I had my father and my mother. And I was raised as an athlete. Pops was a coach, so I could have been an athlete probably if I chose that route, but I went a different direction. But so I ended up. What happened was I ended up getting attracted to the streets. The women and the money and all that. The glory, as you say. So I went that route, and as a youngster, I started getting in trouble a lot. Juvenile hall stints. Breaking into homes, selling drugs, things of that nature. And then as I got older, we started elevating and, doing more stuff. And eventually at 20, when I turned 20, I ended up going to prison for bank robbery. So I got sentenced to 12 years. I did 10 years, 8 months on that. And it was for me, it was education. I like to call it college. I came home, feel like I came home with a PhD in psychology.
Okay.
So, that's one good thing. And when I was in there, I was also doing a lot of self-help and self-education as well. So I learned a lot about business, entrepreneurship, and then I was just getting more in touch with me, spiritually and through meditation and things of that nature, learning about health and all that. And once I came home, I continued that.
Okay, so you read a lot of books.
Yeah, a lot of books.
What are some of the books that were pivotal
Let's see.
for you?
Tony Robbins was a good one. Unlimited Power. Robert Kiyosaki, his whole series, that Rich Dad Poor Dad. So I had like 6 of those books. I had the Rich Dad Poor Dad. I had his real estate one. Yeah, he has a real estate agent that wrote one. Learned about LLCs. He has an LLC book. I had like 6 books from Robert Kiyosaki. I learned a lot from him.
Yeah.
But that Rich Dad Poor Dad opened me up a lot.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that made me think about a lot of things. So yeah, that was a good book. Go get that, Rich Dad Poor Dad. That whole series actually. But yeah, and then let me see, what's another good one? I was doing a lot of Art of War, of course, and 48 Laws of Power, Art of Seduction, stuff like that. Just stuff that'll help you think and grow rich.
Another good one.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, so just that's it. I didn't read any novels or anything. Yeah, because in there's a lot of you read a lot of hood books, and I guess you can call them. I didn't have time for it. I tried to write my own though. I tried to write them.
Okay.
I never finished. I got like 3 or 4 chapters in there. But
Story of my life as well.
Right.
I've written novels that never got finished.
Oh yeah. It's still sitting there. Maybe I'll get back to it.
Yeah. So, going into the Rich Dad Poor Dad, did you learn about the cash flow quadrant? Like
exactly.
That for
I
me,
had that book as well.
Yeah, it's very pivotal because, many of us were in that the employee mindset.
Right.
So the employee mindset, it's like, okay, I'm going to do, put in the hours, I'm going to trade time for money.
Right.
And then when we become business owners, it's like owning a job.
Exactly.
It's like, okay,
that's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
Owner operator.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're trying to learn how to be smarter and be more delegate a little bit more.
Right, right. So when you get into more a different type of business owner where you have a system in place, that's when you can start leveraging and spending less of your time, like trading time for dollars, and that system can work for you.
System is the most important.
Yeah.
Standard operating procedures.
Yes.
I've just learned that because I've been in business for 7 years, and I just wrote my standard operating procedures last year.
Okay.
Last year, so it makes a real big difference.
It's never too late.
Because I have employees, so with doing that without the operating procedures, it's cool because we're on a certain frequency and level to where we can communicate and get it done. But if I was to bring somebody else in, it might not be that way.
Right.
So that's where the standard operating procedures come in. You can bring anybody in as long as they have the right work ethic.
Yes. I want to talk a little bit about that work ethic because that's an idea that I've explored in the ebook a little bit. So and this could be applied to anyone. It's not just about women. This is just a concept to understand what sets a person apart. Like what's a signal, not only will your future team members be a good fit that's going to like take you further in business, but are you aligning with that? Like you can look at yourself in the mirror and be like, am I my own best team member?
Right.
you know?
No, yeah, you don't want me. I don't want to be the best. I want to be about the worst, really. I like to be around people that are smarter and that'll hold me more accountable.
Yeah.
Then we can get further.
Yeah. But in doing that, like when you put yourself in an environment where you, like you said, you're the worst in the room,
which is not bad.
Not the smartest person in the room.
Which is not bad. Yeah.
It's not bad. But here's the thing that I see. It requires a character trait. Okay? It requires humility.
Yeah.
To be able to be held accountable, to be able to sit with someone knowing that they make way more money than you, they've gone through so much more, they know so much more than you, and being an open vessel to receive that information, to let their work ethic rub off on you. Like you've got to be humble. Like you've got to have that
Open up. Yeah. I'm here for it. Because that's, you can only take yourself so far.
Right.
Somebody's going to have to take, especially when you don't, you haven't been there and you haven't done that, so you need that sort of like mentor or whatever the case is, team member that's experienced, way more experienced than you. So yeah, that's what I've been trying to do, just because for a long time it's just been me.
Yeah.
And then, bringing other people up, but I need people to be above me and bring me up.
Right, absolutely.
So then I can help the others to come up as well.
Absolutely. So you talked about your story about like how you ended up in the pen, but tell me about the inner transformation of like what happened when you came home. Like what was that like, and getting out of the streets and changing your life into something different? Like take me through that process for you.
Well, I had a motivational, I had my daughter, first of all, so I knew I had to come home and get home to her, because it was a pivotal time, caught her right in time when I came home. So that was motivation. And as soon as I came home, she lived with me. So, she kept me balanced and gave me a purpose to make sure I don't ever go back. And so when I came home, I just continued educating myself, and right now we're living in the era of information. So I basically almost got a college degree just from, educating self over internet through books and talking to certain people and individuals. So that's how that came about. And then I had a job. I was working for a utility company out in California. But, I still had that entrepreneurial mindset. And even though it was a great career job, I walked away from a lot of money over there. And but I always wanted to start my own business and be my own boss. So I ended up walking away from that. I started running my own clothing line and manufacturing business. Also do music, things of that nature.
Okay.
And so, yeah, and then I like to give back to the community. I started group economics, just trying to bring everybody together and show that we could do it without asking for permission.
That's huge.
Yeah, people can't see that because a lot of people think that, you can't do it, but if you just look and if we just come together, we can do it together.
Right. Yeah, that asking for permission it's so pivotal because that is a key part of, I believe, that programming.
Yes.
Because you got to ask for permission every step of the way. You got to ask for permission to even use the restroom.
Right.
You got to, and it's in the school, it's in prison, it's in your job a lot of times. I mean, not every job, but that's the mentality. It's like you don't do this without asking for permission.
Right. Or you're getting in trouble.
Right. And the thing is like there's a balance. We want to be wise.
For sure.
We want to make wise decisions, and we want to consult those who've gone before us, especially if you are privileged to have a mentor.
Yes, that's big.
Yeah, in my business, I have that aspect. I have the mentorship and the leadership. I can plug into that system, right?
Nice.
But one thing that I cherish about the industry that I'm in financial services. I'm in life insurance, actually.
Okay.
One thing I cherish about it is it's not a place to ask permission.
Okay. Right. Nice.
Because yes, as long as you're following the law, okay.
Right.
You're not like getting your license revoked because you're like doing dirt, right? As long as you are following the law, you can build, your own business, your own brand.
Right.
And that is what's going to lead to success. It's not through, checking all the boxes and getting approval. It's like, because people ultimately are going to trust you. They're going to follow you.
Right.
So who wants to follow someone that is always asking for permission?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like it just doesn't, it's not the concept of like, I've got to have permission and seek approval does not lend itself to leaders.
It's not conducive.
Right. Leaders make choices, wise choices, because they are understanding the system. They're flowing with the system. It's not because they got permission.
Right, exactly.
That's huge. Yeah. So I love that you're teaching that in group economics.
Yes.
Because it's so needed. It's a core mindset.
It's definitely
shift.
a mindset. Like, and that goes back to what we were saying earlier. It's in you. It's in you, not on you. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, with the seeking permission, I want to venture into kind of like the results of what could happen. Like when you seek permission and you don't get it. You seek approval and you don't get that approval. Oh, yeah. Like what kind of tailspin can that send a person into?
It can send them into, depending on, who they are and how they react to things, it can go bad or good.
Yeah.
It can go bad. I've seen, like, just yesterday, it was an incident where somebody got denied on some things, and they didn't take it too well, because they already had it in their mind, like, I'm going to get approved, and, once you get denied, now you're depressed, and messes your day up a little bit. Some people might not, bother them at all, like, oh well, I'd figure out another way, but I've seen it go the other way, like just yesterday, it's just like, oh, like, hey, pick it. It's okay, it's not the end of the world, so, we'll figure it out. I'll help, we'll get it, so, so it just depends on how you take things and move forward. Some people don't know how to take a no. Yeah. Some people can, some people can't.
Yeah, and like in sales, you're going to hear a lot of no's.
A lot of no's.
And not just sales. I mean, any industry where, like, for example, people that need to audition or, like acting, talent, that industry as well, and just people who are just seeking jobs.
Right. Oh, yeah.
You hear a lot of no's.
You just have to have that predetermined in your brain. Like, it's a numbers game, unless you're just like that, and you just get that job, that first interview or whatever, you just have it your way. I know a few people like that kind of, they don't get too many no's. But, yeah, if you just know that already, like, okay, it's going to take me about 50 no's before I get where I want to go, So let's get these no's out the way,
Yes, we say that a lot in our brokerage. It's like let's change how we look at no. And I think that lends itself to, it's not really about seeking permission. Because if you look at the yeses and the nos as permission, it's like, oh, they said yes to me. I get that stamp of approval. Right. Then that's like getting into permission. And then when you're in that mindset, when you get those no's, it's like it hurts. It's like a dagger. It's like, man, like, am I worth anything? Like, dang, like they said no to me. Right. Like, it's like they're not saying no to the opportunity or no to.
Well, see, that's another thing. When you're in business, you have to separate. You got to get your feelings out of there. Yeah. Get your feelings out of there. It's not like they said no to a date or something, or you're ugly or whatever. They're just not interested in that business at that time.
Right. And that's really hard, especially for women.
Oh, yeah.
To hear.
Yeah. Denial.
Yeah, because it's like,
oh, you told me no? Nobody tells me no.
Yeah, but, I mean, like, with the emotions.
Right.
Because, yes, we all have emotions, but we are, like, as women, like, we're really tied to our emotions. So it's like we tend to take that real personal. Yeah. Real deep. And that is, it can really create a roadblock. Like, if you're not looking. So back to, like, when you hear no and you say, okay, I got another no, that really means I'm closer to a yes. Let's change that perspective. Right. That's because outside of permission, if you're not permission seeking, if you think about it, yes and no is like the core of permission seeking and approval. That's the epitome of it. Right. Do I have a yes or do I have a no? You know what I'm saying? So if you're going at it from that perspective, then when someone tells you no and you don't think like permission seeking, no just means something different. It just means, what can I do differently? It means, okay, that's...
Or on to the next.
I got that no out of the way, like you said.
You got to get those feelings out of there. Yeah. I have a lot of, I have lady friends that are in business. We always talk about clients and things of that nature, and sometimes I have to tell them, like, you got to get your feelings out of there, because... that has nothing to do with the business, what you're talking about. You just didn't like the way he might have said something or she might have said something or whatever, and that just ruined the whole business. It's not professional. So, yeah, it's definitely in the attitude and the mindset.
Yeah, that's a really healthy way of looking at business. It's like, Yes, fielding is important.
Right.
It is very important, but there's a place for it.
Right.
And you can acknowledge your feelings,
Mm-hmm.
and the sooner you acknowledge them and not fight against them and struggle with them.
Right. It's certain
the sooner-
professionalism.
Then it allows you to like, okay, now we can get the feeling out of there.
Right. It's nothing personal.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm just no, I just don't want to use that service. It's okay.
Right.
Somebody will. It's okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
But sometimes they get that no, and it'll just shut everything. Some people would stop their whole career after, they might have stopped their whole dreams just because they heard one no.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, it's not gonna work.
Right.
But not knowing that if you just kept going, that next person was gonna be the yes.
Yeah.
But so yeah. That
reminds me. In Think and Grow Rich, there's a story, and it actually is about life insurance in a way. So there was a gentleman, and forgive me, I don't remember the person's name.
That's the Napoleon Hill one, then the Think and Grow Rich, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the story goes that there was a gentleman who he got into the gold rush. Okay. And he purchased this equipment.
Right.
He raised the funding to purchase the equipment to reach gold, but he didn't know how to survey the land properly.
Right.
To know where to find the gold. So he just started digging and digging. And he's like, okay, I'm digging for gold, not getting anything. We don't know. Like, okay.
Right.
People started doubting him and everything. And then eventually he gave up.
Right.
He gave up. And he sold his equipment to someone else.
And they kept it going.
And what they did was they hired someone to survey the land to understand how the gold flows, right? So they invested in that, and they struck gold literally the next day.
Right, he was right on top of it.
Yes, he was so close. It was like a foot.
Oh wow!
Away, he was a foot away from striking gold, and so he saw that, and he just said, "I'm never gonna do that again."
Yeah, I'm going to keep going.
I'm never going to do that again. So what he ended up doing was he started treating sales like he's digging for gold.
Right.
He said, I'm never going to stop short of that gold. And so he actually got into the life insurance industry. Oh. And he ended up learning sales skills and learning how to sell life insurance, and he ended up doing millions of dollars in life insurance sales.
Nice.
And this is like in the 1800s.
Nice.
So this, first of all, that tells you that this industry has been around for a long time.
Right.
But also it's like it tells you like how much richness there is in the power of no. Right. And the power of our failures.
Right.
What we can learn from that.
Depending on how you accept it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because for me personally, I don't, a no is a no. I respect it.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm just brought up that way. No, okay. Sorry, excuse me.
No means no.
Right. Right.
Right.
So we're going to keep it moving. But yeah, it's all about how you accept it. Especially in business, you just got to know that, it's going to come.
Yeah.
Don't take it personal.
Yeah. So speaking of personal and feelings and things like that, you shared with me, we were talking about this episode and like what we could uncover. And you were telling me your story about how you experienced a time in your life where, you experienced some depression.
Oh, yeah.
And what was the mindset that led to that, and how did you get out of it?
Well, last year I just went through a deep depression, and I didn't take it too well. Because I ended up getting a little sick and stuff, and then had a whole bunch of stuff going on, broke up with my girl, and just a whole bunch of stuff, plus just what I do out in the community. I do a lot, so I give out a lot without no expectations of anything coming back in return, so I was a little drained, and that all just hit me at once. So I just fell into a deep mental depression that I've never experienced before, not even when I was gone, because I still had high confidence. 'Cause I know I'm coming home and, I'm going to do my thing. But for whatever reason, I fell into that dark place. And then the way I handled it is I isolated. So, because I got a lot of loved ones that were trying to check on me and because, I just really just disappeared off the earth. No social media, no phone calls. I had people coming to my door, no answering the door. And so I had people that were concerned, but I wasn't letting nobody in because I didn't want nobody to see me in that condition, so. But it was hard to get out because I tried to fight by myself, And I'd recommend if anyone's going through that, try to get with your loved ones, because I could have got out of this a little sooner, because it was rough trying to get out of there with myself, because it was like I was in a zone to where I was like, damn, am I ever going to get it back? Am I going to get back normal? Because it puts you in a mental spot to where it was like I was comfortable for a minute. I was so, dark, and it was hard to see the light, But then I eventually was like, all right, we gotta fight and get it back. And because luckily I probably would have did better if my children were still at the house, but I was at home by myself.
Right.
Yeah, so I had too much time to think and, just be a mess by myself and have to worry about them seeing me like that. So, but I eventually got up out of it, started, getting back with my loved ones and taking trips out here, getting the energy from my daughter, my granddaughter, and getting my purpose back together.
Yeah, that's a huge just transition, especially what you mentioned, purpose.
Yeah, it means a lot.
Yeah.
That's why I'm moving. That's why I'm moving out here, because my daughter lives out here in Texas. So, she needs me, basically.
Yeah.
We need each other.
Yeah. So I heard a really powerful word from our chief distribution officer, Tom Dempsey.
Mm-hmm.
He said the opposite of depression isn't happiness. It's purpose.
Yeah.
And it's like the purpose really, it transforms those states where
for sure,
like we're in that depressive mood because
it fuels you.
It fuels
you.
There's something bigger than you.
Right. Because then when I come out here, like when I'm at home, sometimes I might just be laid up, out the way, or sit in my lazy boy and cut off the lights or whatever and shut the door, the phone's off, and I'll just be in my own little zone. But when I'm out here and I got my purpose, my daughter, my granddaughter, now I'm all over the place, especially with the baby. She's going to keep you on your toes.
Right, yeah.
So she keeps me on my toes, and then it's, just be able to do stuff for them, it just makes you feel good. Like I cook for them, every breakfast, dinner, almost every night. And I don't even cook for myself at home. I'll starve, or to go get some unhealthy something, so.
Yeah. And it's really easy to do that when you're in that state and you don't have anyone around you. Mm-hmm. It's really easy to just not take care of yourself.
Right. Real easy. Yeah, it was a fight just to get back. I had to get my glamour back together, I'm still fighting, but we're good. I'm about 85%, so yeah, it's a journey.
Yeah,
it's a journey. I'm here for it though, but by default, I've become a mental health advocate. So because once I got out of that, I made it public. Let everybody know I'm back, and I let them know what I went through. Mm-hmm. Posted on social media, and I've had people just hitting me left and right. I'm glad you shared that. I needed to hear that. I'm going through that, or I just went through that, or can you talk to my family member over here? They're going through something, so. Yeah, so by default, that's what I am now. And I'm actually going to start taking classes back in our county. They're offering classes to where I can just actually be a certified mental health advocate. So, so we'll see how that works out.
So I'm just curious. The people that reached out to you, what can you tell me? Like, there were guys?
Both.
But the ones that were men, what age range were they?
Around my age, so I'm 44. So I had about 30 and up.
Right.
About 30 and up, maybe 35 and up. I don't think it was too many. About 35 and up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I have this theory. Well, it's not my theory. Mm-hmm. I know. So here, there's a natural decrease. I'm reading just from stats. A natural decrease in testosterone levels is a normal part of aging. Mm-hmm. And it's sometimes called the andropause or male menopause. So they start to decline around age 30 to 40 at a rate of about 1% per year. Mm-hmm. And it says here that this gradual decrease is unlikely to cause any problems. Mm-hmm. But other factors can cause low testosterone levels. And there's like other things like lifestyle, injuries, illness,
whatever. Lifestyle is key.
Yeah, yeah. But the reason I bring that up is like it's normal. It's normal for guys to have this decreasing testosterone levels. However, what's not normal is there is a crisis in testosterone. And I've been reading about this, that the testosterone levels that the average men have now is like a third less than what our grandfathers and great grandfathers had.
For sure. Because well, like like you say, you have your son is young boy of color. So if you pay attention to that right now, they have it's like a psychological warfare with little boys of color. They're trying to demasculate them.
Right.
Is that the right word? Demasculate?
Emasculate, I think.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
that's probably it.
But they're basically trying to feminize them.
Yeah.
And then I can see that. And plus with the science that they got going on with the food, it's all tricky, So now you got, it's all flipped.
Yeah.
Like I can see it. Just looking at it in general, like the women are more masculine than the men nowadays. And I said that jokingly. Like when I first came home, I was like, man, women are, women are acting like the men. The men are acting like women. I didn't say women, but I used the other. So I was like, I said that jokingly, but as time went on, like this really going on. Like this is really happening on purpose, actually.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you think about it, or if you look into, for example, oils, right? So at some point they started putting, vegetable oils and soybean oil and almost everything. And those oils have endocrine disruptors in them.
Okay.
We also have the plastics, all of the things that are, it's not just BPAs. There's other things that are in plastics that's affecting male testosterone levels. And it's just unprecedented in this generation. And so my theory, this is where my theory comes in, is that because it's natural for male testosterone to go down as they age, but because we're in a time where it's at an all-time low, one of the symptoms of low testosterone is depression. And
so are you diagnosing me right now?
I'm not diagnosing you. No, I'm not a
kidding.
doctor,
I'm just
disclaimer.
kidding. I'm being funny.
But no, what I'm saying is it can affect the mood. And so I think that right now we're probably going to see a lot of this in our generation.
For sure.
Men in their 30s and 40s in this generation, millennials, Generation X.
I just came from a funeral on Wednesday, 2 days ago. One of my nephews, young 30-year-old college graduate, beautiful fiance, committed suicide, hung himself, depression.
Oh, wow.
I'm
so sorry.
But he's not the only one. Just like the fifth suicide I had to deal with this year. Just within my personal life. But it's a lot. But it's a lot of that going on. It's a lot of that going on. Like I just heard not too long ago, it was a young 10-year-old took his life.
Oh, that is so
Last
sad.
week.
I cannot
Yeah,
believe that.
is right.
Yeah,
so it was like, but what's going
crazy.
on in the world to where a 10-year-old is? You know what I mean? Like. What are you depressed about? You don't have any bills or anything. You don't have to. You're 10, so it's definitely something's going on right now. Psychological warfare. Don't know exactly what is going on, but you definitely know it's going on. So just be aware of that and check on your loved ones.
Yeah,
check on your loved ones.
And we see this. One of the things in our office. So our leader in our office, his name is Matt Zapala. He's the founder of the 7-Figure Squad YouTube channel, as well as Money Smart Movement. And what he does is he's a Marine veteran. So we do, well, not the women, but the guys do push-ups in the office.
Okay, simplify.
Yeah.
Right.
But we do 22 push-ups. And he says that is to honor veterans because every 22 minutes, a veteran takes his life.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah, PTSD is that's
So
that's real.
We go through these things as a culture, right? We experience these things. So you're talking to me from a male perspective of someone who's gone through this. What would you say to a woman who has a man in her life, husband, relationship, or, son, even, that's going through this? What would you say to that woman?
The woman, if she's going through depression herself?
No, if she has a man in her life that's going through that.
Okay. Yeah, that I would just say support him. Try to be open and support him. Because sometimes women will look at that and, and maybe think, I wouldn't say faking, but, like you might look weak or something.
Right.
Like, and then you're irritated and, you know what I'm saying? He might just need his back rubbed or something, or just spoken life into or something. And especially you as the woman, you have the power to do that. So you can either take it. It can go either way.
Right.
You can break them down or you can build them up. So I would just say, be as positive and patient as you can. And try to help build them up. Because if he has a woman right there and that's she's powerful, she can cure that.
Yeah.
She can cure that for sure.
And it's I like that you say that, because I want women to understand that we're facing a societal problem.
Right.
It's not that the man just has bad character.
Right.
Like he's just,
yeah,
a depressive person and he's just bad energy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that he's just dusty.
Right.
This is literally psychological things that are going on, chemical imbalances that are happening due to a widespread epidemic.
Right.
So we have to speak life into our men.
For sure. And then I think, just real quick, we also need to know our roles as men and women. A lot of people don't even know the roles. Like men, they don't understand that as a man, it's our job to provide and protect that woman. And the woman is to, nurture and the woman is basically the key.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just we got to get the roles right first.
Right. We got to get the roles right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that speaks to the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
So like you said, when you got around your loved ones, you have that sense of purpose. You have that sense of love. Like, I want to help my daughter. I want to help, the people in your life. You want to provide for them, your granddaughter. You want to do those things.
Right.
And that kind of lifted you out of that.
For sure.
So leaning into that is so powerful. And being like open for that.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of women are really closed off because they're really bitter because they feel abandoned.
Yeah.
I think that's a core wound. Like a lot of women feel abandoned, and rightly so.
Especially black women.
Yeah, rightly so. Like, they have been abandoned in many cases. And so we've got to be open and allow men to come back. Remove that bitterness and
both
resentment.
got to be open.
Yeah.
Both, because we'll shut us some stuff off too.
Right. Right. And then also tying that into entrepreneurship, having that sense of purpose, because, one of the things that I'm so solid on is my purpose in entrepreneurship, like I mentioned earlier, so that I can give my son the life that he deserves.
What is your why?
That's my why.
What is your why?
And I will face whatever I have to face in business, all the no's, all of the personal development.
Yeah.
Yikes. Like,
as long as you got that in your...
Because for him.
Right.
Because I want to pass on courage to him.
Yeah. They're watching too.
Exactly. And I know, like, in my family lineage, like, whatever generational curses that are on our family, it stops with me. Like, I understand, that sense of purpose. Like, if not me, then who?
Right.
That's huge for me in my motivation. And that is, like, I talk a lot about that in my ebook. I talk a lot about, like, us women finding that purpose.
Right.
And so, yes, we do have these different roles. We are going to come up with different challenges in our families,
for sure.
In our relationships, but to keep pressing forward, to keep, whatever our men are dealing with, whatever we're dealing with, to keep doing that, because who else is going to do it?
Right. If not, yeah. Like you said, if you don't do it, no one will.
Yeah. So wrapping up, I want you to talk a little bit about group economics. If you want to talk about, like, how they can reach you, or... Sure.
Yeah. So group economics is it's a coalition. It's for the people, by the people. It's meant to bring all small businesses together and just flourish together. We have different sectors that each business is coming from, and like you got the life insurance. I have a print shop. Somebody over here might be a cook or a real estate agent or, anything. So we all come together and we just build and grow with each other. And right now it's based out of California, but we're going to bring it out here to Texas with your help, of course.
Okay.
I'm going to set up just a whole nother page for Texas. But right now you can go to Instagram. The group economics page is Gecko with the underscore between every letter. G. I'm gonna work on that. I'll change it. So it's G_E_C_C_O.
Okay.
But we're also working on setting up a website to where it's a directory where we can all just keep in contact, have a blog going, a forum or something, and we can all have access to network mixers, things of that nature.
Okay, That's awesome. Especially here in Dallas, there's a lot of mixers out there, but like
that's how we met.
Yes, exactly. Yes, we did. But what I like about doing, group economics, it's like you're, having a mixer, but it's not just a time for everybody to just say, okay, here's my business card, bye. It's not transactional. It's like, this is a real connection that we're building. We're doing something here in Dallas.
Right. You're not just changing business cards. Yeah.
Yeah. And same for me when I'm doing it, it's like I'm doing more than just life insurance. Right. We're changing the world. We're changing America. And we're bringing free enterprise to the multicultural middle class. And we're saving lives through that because that brings purpose.
For sure.
And especially women in business, it allows us to live that lifestyle that we want to live, to have that time freedom.
And also showing the youth.
Yes, absolutely. And then doing that personal development work, that's so important. Right. So I talk about what does it take to plant those seeds in yourself to be ready for entrepreneurship in that way. That's really what expanding the kingdom is about.
Within yourself.
Yes, because God wants to do work in us.
Right.
And work through us.
Let him in.
Yes, yes. And so, the book is called The Kingdom in You. Okay. It is focused toward women, but there's definitely some pieces in there that's a lot of what we talked about, just going a lot deeper into, what does it take to nurture these seeds of these character traits, humility and, how to recognize and activate the character traits that's going to set you up to be successful in business. As a woman, as a wife, as a mom, as someone who is actively growing the kingdom. So if you would like that ebook, definitely sign up. You can go to, EKOpodcast.life. .life, yeah. Because we give life.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So go to the website, just fill out the form, and then you will receive an email. And depending on when you're watching this podcast, we may get the ebook. It's launching soon. Okay. But at the very least, you'll get on the wait list for it. Nice. And also what I'll do is, since I've had you on the podcast as a guest, I'd love to get our viewers acquainted with group economics. I'll also send them information about how they can be a part of it as well.
For sure.
So,
I'm excited.
Wes, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you for viewing and watching and supporting our show. It's all about purpose. It's all about impact.
All right.
So, I'm your host, Andria Lovitt, and we are signing off.
Salute.